This is Professor Simon at Baton Rouge Community College. And this week I'll have a preview video for History 1123, of course, the online class at BRCC. I'll have like a kind of go through like a preview of the first few weeks of course, the class for the fall semester. Of course, I'm Daniel Simon at BRCC, one of the full time professors there. But I'm going to kind of go over that. You should have already seen some preview videos I've got out for the course, including one for like maybe the syllabus. You want to go look at that. And it kind of explains about more about the course. But if you go into Canvas modules, I'll kind of give you a tour again of it and like the assignments that you need to complete in the first few weeks of the course itself. You see right here, of course, there should be a section at the top which talks about, if you have a question about the course, do let me know via, Canvas discussions or my email as well. So I've got that right here. Then the main thing below, do check out the Welcome to History 1123. There should be a main announcement in Canvas announcements talking about the background of the course and the course syllabus that you have to turn in part of it at the beginning of the semester. There should be some preview videos. Like I've said, I've got mostly that preview video of History 1123 I've got out there. I've got a bunch of these preview videos if you want to look at them. There should be some previously recorded ones that I have like that one to kind of give you an idea of the course, of how it, pretty much pans out during the whole semester. So do check out the syllabus. There should be a pre-test, History 1123 pre-test you need to complete for week one, which I should be like a Canvas announcement about that. That's going to be due by Friday, August 23rd. For now, it'll probably be extended into week two, but that's something you need to get completed in week one. Also, don't forget the student contract policy page is also due as well. There should be a Canvas announcement about that. If you go down a little further, there should be the actual contract policy page, which is actually in the syllabus on page 5. So that needs to be turned in right there. Try to get it, turned in by week one, but I'll probably extend it a few days into week two. Now, if most of my lectures, videos I put up are going to be on my YouTube channel. And so I do have a Canvas announcement about that too. The various channel links that you might need for the semester. There's the link to my main channel page. You want to go to that and look at it this week starting. But I do have some links to like my YouTube channel links. The main ones will probably have for my lectures. That there'll probably be another playlist for some of these preview videos that I've got out there. But I've also got some podcasts too of my lectures, which are audio only. So that's a separate playlist right there that I've got. And if any students interested in that Veterans World History Project, there's like a link to some examples of those interviews I've got on my YouTube channel as well. So this preview video I'm working on right now is going to be put right here. You see in modules. I'll probably email it to you also as well. So let's look at modules, like some of the things you're going to have to do at the beginning of the semester. For week one of the main lectures you'll have to watch and review will be my first class lectures on world exploration, usually called the Age of Discovery. There should be like a part 1 and 2 lecture that I've got, but I do have a Canvas announcement about that that'll go out, which will really be posted closer to week one. Usually I post a lot of my new stuff like assessments and things like that Sunday night before the week begins. I know on the first lecture I've got part 1. It goes into the background of exploration and discusses the Portuguese explorers up to like around the time of Christopher Columbus, when Columbus discovered part of the New World. Also, Age of Discovery Part 2 lecture, which kind of goes into the Ferdinand Magellan expedition and goes up to like the 18th century. Do a lot of explorers and like the New World and things like that. There is a combined version, I think, of the lecture too, if you want to look at that. And I do have a podcast version as well, parts one and two combined, which is audio only. So that's the actual PowerPoint for it that you're looking at there. And like I said, these lectures will be assessed in a Canvas quiz online, Canvas quiz number one. If you do have any comments, questions about lectures, do let me know about that. Anything comes up, you have a question about, you do get bonus points for Canvas discussions. So do take advantage of that during the semester. And there's the original announcement I'll have later in Canvas about the Canvas quiz number one on the exploration lectures. That'll be due more into the end of August. Into week two, I'll be moving on. Week two lectures, Conquest of America lectures, which I'll kind of go into why the conquistadors come in, mostly Spanish soldiers of fortune, explorers that rip into the Americas, kind of spearhead the European colonization. So I'll kind of go into the background of that and talk about some of the famous conquistadors like Hernan Cortez, Francisco Pizarro. I do kind of talk a little bit also about Spanish colonization that starts in mostly Latin America. There's also a podcast version of it too, also as well. So this is more into week two. And these are the lectures associated with it, which I have just one main lecture I've got for that section for week two. So if you got a comment, question about that, those lectures, do let me know later during the semester. Of course, that's the original Canvas announcement and, quiz number two on the Conquest of America lectures. So that'll probably be due more into early September. Then into week three of the semester, starting probably after Labor Day holiday, looks like Tuesday, September 3rd, I'll have a series of lectures for you to watch on the Reformation, also called the Protestant Reformation, which began, because of the influence of like Martin Luther and other Christian reformers. So that's going to also be assessed on another Canvas quiz number three that I'll have. And I think the part one lecture goes into like the early background of the Reformation, talk about early reformers like uh, Martin Luther, who's the most famous, John Calvin, and others. I do kind of talk about the Catholic Reformation a little bit as well, which some call the Counter Reformation. Part two goes into like the later part of the Reformation, which that kind of goes up to like the time of the 30 Years' War, which was really the peak event of the Reformation. There is a podcast version, it's audio version, of course, of it on just the whole Reformation. I've got that too, also in the PowerPoints. So that's Canvas quiz number three, which will be assessed more into week three, like I said. So if you had any comments, questions about that, you can see that. That's right there. And then also, of course, that's the original Canvas announcement I'll have in modules. You'll see these, of course, come up in announcements too, also populate there. So yeah, there it is right there, of course. But you can see it's more due closer to mid part of September. Then lastly, one more thing I'll talk about week four, which week four, I'll have a lecture on that one's going to be probably given out early, maybe, or something like that, with the Reformation lectures. But week four, September 9th, which is a Monday, I'll have some lectures on the age of absolutism, the rise of the Bourbon dynasty in France, the Habsburg dynasties, which are powerful in Spain, like Habsburg Spain. And of course, you also have the Habsburgs that develop around where Austria is. So I have some series of lectures on that that I'll post, which these will not be assessed for that week. It'll be more into week five. I'll have an assessment, which will be the first exam. First exam is going to be primarily on the age of absolutism, which the other topics will be part three and four lectures on the rise of Prussia, like in Frederick the Great, and in the rise of Russia, in like the czars of Russia, like Peter the Great, Catherine the Great, which I'll get to later. But yeah, there's also audio podcasts of these lectures that they have as well. So, if you have any questions about these lectures, do let me know, of course, later because, like I said, you do get bonus points for that. Now, if you go down further, I kind of give you like a tour. I've probably seen some of this already before, but you have assignments and announcements. You'll see in, of course, modules right here. Kind of a tour of it real quick here, but you will have vocabulary assignments you need to turn in by the end of the semester in December, which the first three are mandatory. First, second, and third key terms assignments. You have to turn those in. Final one is just for bonus points. You don't have to turn it in. But you do get, there's different directions for the vocab assignments this year. I have kind of changed that. You will randomly pick 30 vocab terms from each assignment. So number them 1 through 30. You can do the first 30, or you can just randomly pick them, whichever ones you want to do. And so for the first three, it'll be worth 5 points each. But I do have a thing where if you turn in these assignments before final exam week, you will receive 10% bonus. So that could be like, up to 15 bonus points you can get with per assignment. So it could be, worth 165 points instead of 150. So, but if you turn it in like, by finals week when these assignments are due by Friday, December 13th, you won't get any bonus for it. I think for the final one, final key terms, which is only for bonus, that assignment, I'll give just 10 bonus points. So you can get plus 40 if you turn it in before finals. But it's a way to, for you to earn bonus points, during the semester, turn it in early, get it done. Book reports, don't forget, that's an assignment that's mandatory from my class. Just check out the book report and review research paper that you have to do, which is due, you see, by mid-November. One thing, of course, I require at least, students to read at least one historical work during the semester. There should be a book list you'll find in Canvas. It's in assignments and in modules. So do check out the book list. I usually allow only two students per book. So if there's an interesting book you want to read for the semester, do email me about that, completing that project during the semester. So there should be main directions. I think the directions are located in different locations. I think on page 4 of the syllabus, I believe it's in the syllabus, but it's in assignments and in modules, etc. That's where it is. And I do have a writing rubric that I've got listed right here. So, like I said, due mid November. I think I kind of go more into it, like in some of my syllabus reviews or whatever. But do check out the syllabus, about that assignment. There are study guides, by the way, to help you, with the different lectures and the quizzes and exams that are throughout the semester. So I have them divided up, I think, into different sections. I know there's a first exam and quizzes study guide section, which is right here. It kind of goes into like the early lectures up to like close to week 4, like age of absolutism. I think so. I think it covers from like exploration up to the age of absolutism, roughly. And I think there's the second exam in quizzes version of the study guide, which that one covers from like around, I want to say, the rise of the British and the Enlightenment. And that one goes up to close to like the 19th century, like up to like around, I think I want to say the Industrial Revolution, rise of socialism. And then I think they have a final one. That one goes up like the 19th century up to like the Cold War era. So you can turn these in during the semester for bonus. I think they're worth um, 30 bonus points. Maybe if you turn them in early, I'll give you extra credit too, just like the vocab. Yeah, I guess I could do that too if you want 40 bonus points instead of 30 if you turn it in. But the final might be a little hard, but usually I give the final early before finals week. Then, of course, there's this other project you may have heard about, which is the Oral History Veterans Oral History Project, which is worth 200 bonus points. It's a volunteer project where you would interview a veteran, who's been in the military. And it can be also yourself. Like if you're a veteran, you can have somebody interview you if you want, like a relative or friend as well. And so if you're interested in that project, do let me know about it. The volunteer, so totally volunteer project. It's not mandatory or anything like that, but it'll be due by the end of the semester. So during like end of finals week, that that particular project, and there should be an oral history guidelines. Should be posted on Canvas, like right here and in assignments, and it's a minimum of like, I think like 10 minutes that you have to, something like 10 minutes, at least 10-15 minutes range is good minimum range, I guess. I got one, I think, on my channel. It's like 2 hours that somebody did, which is pretty amazing. But I should have a link here. You'll see it in different locations in Canvas. But if you want to go look at some examples of veterans interviews that previous students have done for this project, you can check those out. So I think most of the veterans are going to probably be, from like around the Cold War era and up. Like I think most of the veterans from World War II, Korean War, just about deceased. It's hard to find those. You do, it's kind of rare. But anyway, with that project, like I said, will be due at the end of the semester. I do have an academic calendar also as well. You can see right here. So I've kind of posted that in there. I do have different office hours. If you're on campus, you want to come see me, you can come by my office, Louisiana Building 328, third floor. I'll be in my office 10 to 12, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then I'm at home. You can see right here. You can email me Canvas discussions. You want to do some kind of Zoom thing or something like that, we can probably do that also as well. But I prefer email. It's easier just to email you about things. If you got a question about something about the course, or you can also, put something in Canvas discussions as well. So that's kind of giving you like a tour, of what my, class looks like, especially in the first few weeks of the semester, how things are going with the course and all that. But like, don't be shy. If you got a question about the course, you let me know. You can, by email. You can pretty much, email me throughout the semester if you got a question about the course or anything like that. And don't forget about Canvas discussions. You can get bonus points for that. But I know right now you'll need to kind of, turn in that pre-test, do the student contract policy page, get that done. Let me know about the book report, what you want to do about that. And if you're interested in the Veterans Project, of course, do let me know also as well. So this is kind of, like I said, a preview video of, the first few weeks of the course. But like I said, I got a bunch of other, videos you can watch. I got over 500 videos on my YouTube channel, which is insane, But anyway, that's it. I hope everybody has a great semester at BRCC, by the way. I hope everybody does great, during the semester. But like I said, you got a, question about something, do let me know, of course, about the course. So I'll see everybody later, of course, throughout the semester. So everybody, take care.